At 86, Burning Spear is still shaking the reggae world. For decades, he has been a voice of truth, rhythm, and resistance. Now, he finally speaks openly about the music industry, the struggles behind the hits, and what it really took to survive as a reggae legend. Early life and rise of Burning Spear. Burning Spear, born Winston Rodney on August 1st, 1945, in St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica, grew up surrounded by the rhythms of his homeland. From a young age, music was more than entertainment for him. It was a calling. His earliest memories included listening to local sound systems blasting ska, rocksteady, and the early beginnings of reggae. Winston was drawn to music that carried messages, not just melodies, and he quickly realized he wanted to be a messenger himself. Influenced heavily by the teachings and philosophy of Marcus Garvey, Burning Spear developed a deep sense of purpose in his music. Garvey's messages of black pride, self-determination, and social justice resonated with him and would shape his work for decades to come. While other kids were chasing footballs or marbles, Winston was memorizing Garvey's speeches and thinking about how to turn history into song. By the time he was in his teens, it was clear he had something special to offer the music world. In the early 1960s, Winston began performing locally, honing his vocal style and developing a unique sound that blended roots, spirituality, and political consciousness. He adopted the stage name Burning Spear, inspired by the symbol of fire as a force for change and a spear as a weapon of truth. The name reflected both his mission and the intensity of his music. People in his neighborhood started noticing him, and it was only a matter of time before he began recording professionally. His first recordings came in the mid-1960s, a period when Jamaica's music scene was vibrant but competitive. Burning Spear had to fight for attention in a crowded field of talented singers and groups. His early tracks displayed not only his powerful, commanding voice, but also his lyrical focus on history and empowerment. Unlike many young artists chasing the latest trends, he remained steadfast in delivering messages that mattered. It was this combination of passion and purpose that helped him stand out. By the late 1960s, Burning Spear's career was gaining momentum. He teamed up with influential producers and recorded tracks that would later become classics. Each song carried a message, and audiences began recognizing him, not just as a singer, but as a voice of conscience. His ability to merge spiritual themes with political awareness gave him a distinct edge. In a music industry often focused on fleeting fame, Burning Spear's work stood the test of time because it meant something deeper. Touring locally helped him refine his performance skills. Burning Spear learned early on that connecting with audiences required more than just singing well. He had to embody the music, live the message, and carry himself with authenticity. It was not always easy. Resources were scarce, and the music industry did not yet offer the support and protections that artists needed. Despite these challenges, Burning Spear persevered, guided by a sense of purpose that would carry him through even the darkest chapters of his career. As his reputation grew, it became clear that Winston Rodney was more than a talented singer. He was a symbol of resilience and a beacon for artists who wanted their work to matter. His early life in St. Ann's Bay, his fascination with history and culture, and his unwavering dedication to his craft all set the stage for a legendary career that would not only define reggae, but also inspire generations to come. The golden era of reggae. By the early 1970s, Burning Spear was stepping into what would become the golden era of reggae. This was a time when the genre was exploding internationally, and the rhythm of Jamaica was reaching ears all over the world. Artists like Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, and Bunny Wailer were gaining recognition, and Burning Spear was carving out his own lane. Unlike some artists who chased trends, he stayed true to the roots of reggae, delivering music that was both soulful and politically charged. Touring became a major part of his life. Burning Spear traveled throughout Jamaica and later across the Caribbean, performing in small venues and large festivals alike. These early tours were more than just a way to share music. They were classrooms where he learned how to connect with audiences and understand the impact of his songs. He observed firsthand how reggae could move people, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Some nights, he performed for audiences of a few hundred, other nights for thousands, and in every situation, he poured his heart into the music. Collaboration played a key role in this period. Burning Spear worked with legendary producers and musicians, including those who had shaped the reggae sound before him, These partnerships were crucial to refining his music. The interplay between his deep, commanding vocals and the backing of tight bands created tracks that were unforgettable. Hits like Marcus Garvey and Slavery Days did more than entertain. They educated, inspired, and provoked thought. Fans started recognizing Burning Spear not only as a musician, but as a storyteller and historian, bringing Jamaica's culture and struggles to life through sound. During the golden era, the reggae industry was booming internationally. Festivals in Europe and North America began to include reggae acts, and Burning Spear's music started crossing borders. His themes of empowerment, spirituality, and social consciousness resonated with global audiences who may have never set foot in Jamaica. The reggae wave was unstoppable, and he was riding it with skill and purpose. Yet, even as the music gained worldwide attention, the industry remained tough. Contracts were tricky, and exploitation was common. Burning Spear would later reveal that navigating this era required both artistry and street smarts. His influence during this time extended beyond music. Burning Spear became a symbol of pride for Jamaican culture and roots. His performances were more than entertainment. They were statements of identity. Rooted in history and pride, fans appreciated his authenticity. He did not follow fads or compromise his vision for commercial success. This steadfastness helped him maintain credibility and loyalty among listeners who could sense when an artist was genuine. Even amidst growing fame, Burning Spear remained disciplined. Long tours, endless rehearsals, and the pressure of maintaining high-quality music could wear anyone down. Yet, he persisted. His commitment to his message and the depth of his artistry ensured that every album, every performance, carried meaning. By staying true to his principles, he not only secured his place in reggae history, but also set a standard for future generations of artists. The golden era of reggae solidified Burning Spear's reputation as more than a musician. He became a cultural ambassador, a voice for the voiceless, and a reminder of the power of music to inspire and unite. His early success laid the foundation for a career that would span decades and impact countless lives, proving that staying authentic pays off, even in an industry that can be unpredictable and unforgiving. Behind the music, industry struggles. While the golden era of reggae brought fame and recognition, it also exposed Burning Spear to the harsh realities of the music industry. For every applause and cheering fan, there were contracts, managers, and record labels ready to take advantage of an artist's talent. The business side of reggae, especially in the 1970s and 1980s, was often unforgiving, and Burning Spear experienced this firsthand. Record labels frequently offered deals that seemed appealing, but often came with hidden clauses. Artists were promised royalties that never arrived, studio costs were deducted unfairly, and creative control was often stripped away. Burning Spear, like many of his peers, had to learn quickly how to navigate these treacherous waters. In interviews, he has described how frustrating it was to see others profit from music he had poured his soul into. Many artists of the time struggled with this, but he persevered, determined to maintain his voice and his integrity. One of the major challenges was understanding contracts. Labels would present complicated legal documents to young artists eager to sign. Without proper guidance, it was easy to give away rights to recordings or accept terms that severely limited earnings. Burning Spear witnessed fellow musicians sign away their creative freedom, often without realizing the long-term impact. Over time, he learned to assert himself, protect his work, and insist on agreements that allowed him to retain some control over his music. Financial struggles were another reality. Despite international tours and charting songs, many reggae artists found it difficult to make consistent income. Revenue from performances was unpredictable, and royalties were delayed or mismanaged. Burning Spear recalls periods when money was tight, even as his music gained popularity abroad. The contrast between fame and financial instability was stark. It required patience, careful planning, and a commitment to the music itself to endure. Creative control was also a major issue. Producers and labels often wanted artists to create music that would sell rather than music that mattered. Burning Spear resisted this pressure, insisting that his work reflect his values, beliefs, and cultural heritage. This insistence sometimes led to tension with record companies, but ultimately preserved the authenticity of his catalog. His refusal to compromise helped him maintain credibility among fans who valued honesty over commercialism. Another challenge was exploitation by middlemen in the industry. Managers, promoters, and agents sometimes promised opportunities that never materialized or took a larger cut than agreed. Burning Spear had to navigate these relationships carefully, balancing the need for exposure with the risk of being taken advantage of. His experience reflects a broader truth in the music world. Talent alone is not enough. Knowledge of the business, assertiveness, and resilience are equally essential. Despite these struggles, Burning Spear never lost sight of why he started making music. The challenges shaped him into a more strategic and determined artist. They also provided lessons that he would later share with younger musicians, warning them to protect their art and their rights. His story shows that behind the rhythmic beats and soulful vocals, there is often a battle for fairness, respect, and survival. Burning Spear's experience in the reggae industry serves as both caution and inspiration. It highlights the challenges artists face, the resilience required to endure, and the importance of staying true to one's vision even when the odds are stacked. The struggles behind the music are part of the story, and understanding them adds depth to the legacy of one of reggae's most enduring voices. Political and social challenges. Reggae has always been more than music. It is a voice for social change, a rhythm carrying messages of resistance, unity, and justice. Burning Spear understood this deeply, and throughout his career, he faced political and social challenges that tested both his music and his convictions. In Jamaica during the 1970s and 1980s, politics were intense, and artists often found themselves in the crossfire. Burning Spear's music reflected the struggles of everyday people. Songs like Marcus Garvey and Slavery Days were not just catchy tunes, they were statements, reminding listeners of history, injustice, and the need for self-awareness. By taking on such topics, he was making a bold statement in a time when speaking out could bring unwanted attention or even danger. The music carried power, and that power was not always welcomed by those in authority. Artists in Jamaica often face censorship. Radio stations, political groups, or promoters sometimes refused to play songs that were deemed too critical or provocative. Burning Spear had to navigate this carefully. His work required a delicate balance, staying true to his message while ensuring that it reached audiences. Even when faced with resistance, he refused to dilute his content, showing that the message mattered more than convenience or commercial gain. Political tensions also meant that tours and performances could be risky. Some events were influenced by political affiliations, and artists needed to be aware of the local climate before performing. Burning Spear experienced firsthand how music could spark controversy, yet he also witnessed its power to inspire unity. Fans connected deeply with his songs, and his music became a source of hope and identity for many, especially those struggling under social or political pressures. Reggae also became a tool for activism. Burning Spear used his platform to educate listeners about Jamaican history, social injustices, and the importance of cultural pride. His lyrics encourage self-respect and reflection, while subtly criticizing corruption and inequality. The music became a mirror reflecting the realities of society. It was both soothing and provocative, a rare combination that resonated with audiences worldwide. Social challenges were intertwined with political ones. Poverty, inequality, and crime affected many communities, and reggae artists often came from these environments. Burning Spear's personal experiences gave authenticity to his music. He could sing about struggle, hope, and resilience with a voice that carried real-life understanding. His songs were not abstract. They were lived experiences transformed into art, offering listeners both solace and motivation. Even as he gained international fame, these challenges persisted. The global recognition brought new opportunities, but also new pressures. Record companies, media outlets, and promoters sometimes clashed with his vision. Burning Spear remained vigilant, ensuring that his message was not compromised. His dedication to truth, culture, and social awareness became a hallmark of his legacy. Burning Spear's navigation of political and social challenges illustrates the complex relationship between reggae music and the society it reflects. It highlights how an artist can use their platform to speak truth, influence change, and remain authentic even under pressure. These challenges shaped him as a performer, thinker, and cultural ambassador, demonstrating that the power of music goes beyond entertainment and into the realm of social impact, personal sacrifices, and lifestyle. Behind every legendary reggae performance is a life filled with sacrifices, and Burning Spear's journey is no exception. Touring the world, recording albums, and maintaining a public persona came with costs that often went unnoticed by fans. For someone as dedicated as Burning Spear, balancing music, family, and personal well-being required immense discipline and endurance. From the early days, long tours were a constant challenge. Performing night after night, sometimes in small, crowded venues, took both physical and emotional energy. Travel in the 1970s and 1980s was not as convenient as it is today. Flights were expensive, accommodations were basic, and schedules were exhausting. Burning Spear often joked that the luggage felt heavier than the applause he received, but the work was necessary to bring his music to fans who had never heard it outside of Jamaica. Health and wellness were another ongoing concern. Years of performing, late nights, and the stresses of the industry put pressure on his body and mind. As he aged, maintaining his voice and stamina became a deliberate practice. Diet, exercise, and mental focus were as essential to his career as his songwriting. He often credited his longevity in music to mindfulness and a commitment to self-care, showing that even legends must respect their limits. Family life added another layer of complexity. Burning Spear valued his family and understood the importance of being present. Yet the demands of international touring sometimes made it nearly impossible. Birthdays, anniversaries, and simple everyday moments were often missed. The tension between professional obligations and personal responsibilities was a recurring theme in his life. But he worked hard to find balance. Fans rarely saw this side of his life, yet it shaped the man behind the music. Faith and spirituality were constant anchors. For Burning Spear, Rastafarian principles and a connection to culture provided guidance through difficult times. Music was not just performance, it was an extension of his beliefs and identity. Even when facing industry pressures or personal hardships, he leaned on spiritual practice to maintain perspective and direction. This connection helped him navigate challenges with integrity and resilience, ensuring that his lifestyle remained aligned with his values. Sacrifices were not limited to the practical. Creative choices often required compromise or restraint. Burning Spear could have pursued trends for easier commercial success, but he resisted. Staying authentic meant passing up lucrative opportunities, enduring slower recognition, and sometimes confronting disappointment. Yet these decisions allowed him to remain a trusted voice in reggae, someone fans could believe in, someone whose message was never diluted for convenience. Despite these challenges, the rewards were significant. Burning Spear experienced the joy of connecting deeply with audiences, the satisfaction of creating meaningful music, and the pride of leaving a legacy that transcended generations. His sacrifices allowed him to achieve longevity in a notoriously fickle industry. The dedication and discipline behind the scenes were essential to the public success and artistic integrity that fans admired. Burning Spear's personal sacrifices and lifestyle illustrate the human cost behind a legendary career. They show that behind every song and performance is a story of endurance, discipline, and careful choices. Understanding this side of his life adds depth to his legacy, reminding fans that greatness is built on persistence, resilience, and unwavering dedication to one's art and values. Speaking out, the dark truth. At 86, Burning Spear finally opened up about the music industry, revealing truths that many artists experience but few dare to speak about. For decades, reggae was celebrated for its vibrant rhythms and meaningful messages. But behind the scenes, the business side was often ruthless. Contracts, managers, and record labels frequently exploited artists, and Burning Spear has no shortage of stories to illustrate this. One major issue was unfair contracts. Labels often promised exposure, studio time, and royalties, but the fine print rarely benefited the artist. Payments were delayed or withheld entirely, while the label reaped profits. Burning Spear recounted experiences where his recordings were sold, sampled, or distributed without fair compensation. He observed fellow musicians lose rights to their own work, sometimes signing away control in the hope of gaining recognition. These experiences left many artists disillusioned and financially strained, despite international acclaim. Creative exploitation was another dark reality. Producers sometimes pressured artists to create music that would sell, rather than music that carried a message. Burning Spear resisted this throughout his career. He prioritized authenticity over commercial success, a choice that earned him respect, but occasionally led to friction with industry executives. His insistence on artistic integrity highlights a broader issue in the music world: the tension between profit and authenticity. Many artists face the temptation to compromise, but Burning Spear's story demonstrates the value of standing firm. Management and middlemen also played a complicated role. Agents, promoters, and managers sometimes acted in their own interest rather than the artists'. Opportunities were promised but never delivered, contracts were misrepresented, and earnings were sometimes siphoned off. Burning Spear learned early that trust alone was not enough. Navigating these relationships required vigilance, negotiation skills, and a willingness to confront unfair practices, even when it risked professional relationships. The financial consequences of these practices were real. Despite international tours, hits, and critical acclaim, many reggae artists struggled to sustain a stable income. Burning Spear's revelations shed light on the disparity between fame and financial security in the industry. For fans, it can be shocking to learn that artists they admire often face struggles behind the scenes that go unnoticed. These realities underscore the resilience required to maintain a long-term career in music. Beyond personal stories, Burning Spear addressed the emotional toll. Being exploited, misrepresented, or undervalued can erode confidence and enthusiasm. He spoke about the need for artists to develop not just talent, but business acumen, self-respect, and patience. The dark truth, as he described it, is that passion alone does not guarantee success or fairness. Artists must be vigilant, informed, and ready to assert their rights while remaining true to their vision. Finally, Burning Spear's revelations serve as a cautionary tale and a lesson for future generations. He emphasized the importance of understanding the industry, protecting one's work, and remaining authentic in a commercial world that often prioritizes profit over artistry. His experience shows that even legends face challenges behind the scenes, and the respect he commands today is not just for his music, but also for his perseverance and integrity. Burning Spear, speaking out at 86, is a powerful reminder of the reality behind reggae's global celebration. The dark truth about exploitation, unfair practices, and financial struggles is part of the story, and hearing it from someone who lived it gives fans a fuller understanding of what it takes to survive and thrive in the music industry. Legacy and influence. Burning Spear's impact on reggae is undeniable. Across decades, his music has shaped the genre, inspired countless artists, and carried the message of Jamaican culture to listeners around the world. Unlike fleeting trends, his work has enduring power, blending rhythm, message, and authenticity in a way that resonates beyond borders. By staying true to his vision, he created not just songs, but a cultural footprint that defines roots reggae. One of the clearest markers of his influence is the respect he commands among other musicians. From legendary contemporaries like Bob Marley to modern reggae and dancehall artists, Burning Spear is widely regarded as a teacher and mentor in spirit, if not formally. His music carries lessons in history, social consciousness, and resilience. And younger artists often cite his albums as sources of inspiration. His voice, commanding yet soulful, is instantly recognizable and has become a standard for what it means to deliver reggae with purpose. Burning Spear also helped elevate reggae on a global scale. While the genre was gaining international attention, he toured extensively, performing in countries where reggae had not yet become mainstream. His presence on stages across Europe, North America, and the Caribbean introduced audiences to the depth and richness of Jamaican culture. Fans appreciated that his performances were more than just entertainment. They were educational, uplifting, and filled with authenticity. He showed the world that reggae could carry messages of empowerment, pride, and resistance without losing its infectious energy. Awards and accolades reflect his lasting contributions. Burning Spear has received multiple Grammy nominations, and in 2000, he won the Grammy for Best Reggae Album. Beyond formal recognition, the true measure of his legacy lies in the way his music continues to resonate with fans decades after its release. Tracks like Marcus Garvey, Slavery Days, and Jah Knew Dead are more than songs. They are anthems that encapsulate the spirit of reggae and the struggles and triumphs of the Jamaican experience. His influence extends to cultural representation as well. Burning Spear has always used his platform to promote Jamaican history, spirituality, and identity. He has shown that music can be a vehicle for preserving heritage, teaching lessons, and inspiring pride in one's roots. In an era when commercial pressures often push artists toward conformity, his dedication to authenticity has made him a touchstone for what it means to remain genuine in art and life. Beyond music, Burning Spear's story is a model of resilience and integrity. He navigated industry exploitation, financial challenges, and personal sacrifices without compromising his message. This combination of perseverance and artistic integrity has cemented his status as a role model. Fans and fellow musicians alike look to him not just for his music, but for the principles he embodies. Finally, his influence is intergenerational. New listeners who discover reggae today often start with classics from Burning Spear, ensuring that his impact will continue for years to come. His legacy is not limited to the notes and lyrics he created. It is found in the inspiration he provides, the standards he set, and the authenticity he maintained in an industry that often rewards compromise over principle. Burning Spear's legacy and influence prove that staying true to one's message, embracing cultural roots, and persevering through challenges can create music that transcends time. His career serves as a blueprint for artists who aim not just to be heard, but to make a meaningful impact on the world through their art. Reflections and advice. At 86, Burning Spear has had time to reflect on a lifetime in music, and his insights offer a rare glimpse into the mind of a true reggae legend. His reflections are not only about his accomplishments, but also about the lessons learned, the mistakes made, and the advice he wishes to share with the next generation of artists. These insights are both practical and inspirational, grounded in decades of experience navigating a challenging industry. One of his primary messages is about authenticity. Burning Spear emphasizes that artists must remain true to themselves, their vision, and their message. The reggae industry, like any music scene, can be tempting, filled with shortcuts, commercial pressures, and trends that promise quick success. He warns that chasing trends or compromising values may bring temporary gains, but it risks long-term credibility and respect. For him, the most important measure of success is not fame or money, but integrity and connection with the audience. Patience is another key piece of advice. A long-lasting career does not happen overnight, and Burning Spear knows this better than most. He speaks candidly about early struggles, financial uncertainty, and moments of doubt, highlighting that perseverance and commitment are essential. His own journey from St. Anne's Bay to international stages demonstrates that dedication pays off, but only if paired with resilience and a willingness to work through challenges rather than expecting instant recognition. He also stresses the importance of understanding the business side of music. Many talented artists fail not because of lack of skill, but because they are unprepared for contracts, management, and negotiations. Burning Spear encourages musicians to educate themselves, seek trusted advice, and protect their work. This practical guidance is especially crucial for young artists who may enter the industry wide-eyed and trusting, unaware of the potential for exploitation. Protecting one's art is as much a part of success as creating it. Beyond professional advice, Burning Spear reflects on the personal side of artistry. He urges artists to maintain balance, care for their health, and nurture relationships outside of music. Fame and touring can be exhausting, and it is easy to neglect the personal well-being. For him, spirituality, family, and mindfulness have been essential in sustaining both his career and his happiness. He reminds artists that a healthy foundation in life supports a healthy foundation in art. Burning Spear also speaks to the power of purpose. Music is not just a career, it is a tool for communication, education, and cultural preservation. He encourages artists to think about the messages they are sending, the stories they tell, and the impact they can have. Songs can inspire change, provide comfort, and give voice to the voiceless. His reflections show that music carries responsibility, and embracing that responsibility can elevate art beyond entertainment. Finally, he reminds artists to enjoy the journey. Despite all the challenges, the late nights, and the industry struggles, music remains a source of joy, connection, and creativity. Burning Spear's advice combines wisdom, realism, and encouragement. It is a roadmap for longevity, resilience, and meaningful contribution in an industry that can test even the strongest spirits. His reflections and advice offer timeless lessons not only for reggae artists, but for anyone pursuing their passion. By staying authentic, cultivating patience, protecting one's work, balancing life, embracing purpose, and finding joy in the process, artists can navigate challenges while leaving a legacy that resonates for generations. Burning Spear's journey shows that reggae is more than rhythm. It is resilience, truth, and culture. At 86, he reminds us that staying authentic matters more than shortcuts or fame. Comment your thoughts, like, and subscribe to honor a legend whose music continues to inspire and teach the world.